Have you ever felt that whisper in your soul calling you to something more, but all the things spinning around in your mind have kept you stuck? Well, what if I told you that choosing excellence could be both easier and more adventurous than you could ever imagine? I am Chelsea DeBruin-Colbert, your host of All Things Excellence. I'm a soul catalyst for excellence who leapt off that corporate cliff and left small-town Iowa farm life in my 20s to follow my calling, helping women come home to themselves by anchoring into who they're designed to be. I create sacred containers where women rediscover their truth, design their dream life, and transform those whispers into action. Now you can find me running my business from the soccer sidelines as a coach's wife, hiking my favorite Arizona mountain, or back in Iowa with my family, or on an adventure chasing my next sunrise, hot cup of coffee and journal in hand. Through intimate conversations about the stories, the traumas, and the transformations behind choosing excellence, we're creating a collective healing journey together. I believe in diving deep into personality designs, experimenting boldly, and learning life's greatest lessons through our beautiful chaos. Every week, my guests and I are going to rip down the curtains so you can see behind the scenes of real transformation as we explore what excellence actually looks like. Not just the highlight reel, but that messy middle where the magic happens. Whether you're seeking inspiration to take that leap or already on your journey and craving connection, this is your invitation to join us. So grab your coffee, settle in, and get ready to discover just how close you are to the life your soul is calling you to create. This is All Things Excellence. All right, All Things Excellence fam. Today I get to introduce to you, I keep saying my favorite people, but really, truly, this is the eve of my birthday episode when this launches. And I know, kissing my 30s goodbye. I can't even believe it. I am bringing you my ride or die friend. If you hear me talk about her, it's Ange, but her name is now, new wife, Angela Chanowsky, formerly Angela Schroeder. She is a mom, a brand new wife, to just the coolest guy. I'll say Kobe doesn't actually really like most people. People probably don't know that about him. He's a very picky dude. He just likes himself. He likes to be by himself. But he really does love JC so much because he's just a cool dude. He's really easy to be around. You know, I think it's two secure dudes. It's just easy, right? It's easy. She is also the author of The Courageous Mind, which is available all the places you get books, like Amazon. She is also a voracious reader and learner, so we have been reading all of the books, challenging each other back and forth, forcing each other to read books, do conferences, attend all the things. But she is a better friend than anyone could ever hope or pray for. She has been, I'll get so emotional every time I think about this. Ugh, you have been throwing me off ledges. I would say, she's been throwing me off ledges for 15 years almost. So, famously, y'all, we were in direct sales together, and I would say a dream or a goal, I should do this. And then she would go text 10 of our friends that I was going to do it. And then they would be all texting me and encouraging me. And I'm like, oh my God, I hate you. What did you just do to me? Now I obviously have to do it. And so that is her. She has just been throwing me off these ledges. She is why we are here today. We wouldn't even be having this podcast if it wasn't for her being the CEO and founder of Unique Genius Virtual Assistant Company. She's what brought the wonderful car line to me. The only reason I can do this podcast, I could not do it on my own. Today we're going to talk about, here we talk about the stories, the traumas, and the transformations behind people's decisions to choose excellence. And if anybody has a really great story of crash, burn, learn excellence, it's you. Always taking the lesson, always moving forward, reframing it to the positive. So here we are. Welcome to the podcast you helped me create.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, that's such an incredible introduction. I'm gonna have to ask you for it so I can just play it every morning in my affirmations because that was just beautiful. So thank you, and just want to echo so many of those things back to you. We have been ride or die, and I should have sent it to you. I think a Facebook memory. It's so fun. That's one of my favorite parts of Facebook is memories coming up. It's 15 years ago. We were in Nashville on this cowboy boot. But through so many seasons of life, of achievement, of learning, and that's what separates. Often, people come into our life for a reason, season, many times, but you have been in my life through multiple seasons and multiple versions of ourselves as
Yes.
we, continue to grow and evolve and strive. And that's unique. And what truly sets people apart is if they're a friend that is on that path. A lot of times people are only in our life for a season or a reason because they aren't necessarily supportive of that growth
Mm-hmm.
or on that growth path together. So very grateful for every season that you've been in. That it's such a blessing that we've both been on this path of growth and throwing each other off of ledges, and continuing to become new versions of ourselves and evolve into new things. And excited for this episode. I loved when we were on mine. It's like not just an episode, but we're like, oh, look at all the things people are discovering right along with us.
Yeah, I love it. That is the best part. Y'all should like definitely fasten your seatbelts. We usually have our own self-discovery session when we dive into this. We've done 2 episodes together over on
Yeah.
Angela's podcast. So you can watch that. I even have the links to it on my website, so you can grab those and listen back to those. I know I was thinking, gosh, not only do we kick each other off of ledges, but we're also there at the bottom to catch each other before we splat in case it wasn't a good ledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Which
Okay.
happens sometimes too.
Yeah, you never know, right? We're either kicking each other off or catching each other before we splat at the bottom. Okay, so we're going to dive into your story. So let's talk about, I think so often people can look at someone, especially you. You have the Unique Genius family, which is a bunch of VAs over in the Philippines. There's so many of them now, which is wild and crazy to think, since we've known it since the beginning, right? Like I remember that day going, I'm sorry, you're doing what? Like what are you doing? What does this even mean? Like how, who, where, what country? Where is that even? I don't even know. So let's kind of walk down that journey of how did you get from Girl Scout cookies and Cutco to being the CEO and founder of Unique Genius. And this friend, people, our friends, our mutual friends that we've had for the last 15 years will ask me, okay, wait, what? Where is she? What is she doing? Like she's speaking on a stage, she's writing a book. What is happening? Where is she at with her life now? So let's go back to Girl Scout cookies and Cutco and kind of bring them along with everything you did along the way, all of the lessons that you took that led you to be the Angela Chanowsky, founder of Unique Genius.
All the lessons along the way. Girl Scout cookies and Cutco are a significant part of my journey
They are.
because I do love sales. Like I am driven
Mhm.
by not only achievement but love sales. Now I don't think I loved selling Girl Scout cookies. I don't remember. I think that was something my dad pushed me into.
That's
But
what I thought.
Cutco
Because your
did,
dad was
as I
a huge driver.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was a huge driver in my life for achievement
Hmm.
of that. Although recently, I mean, we're going to dive in deep before we even started the beginning.
Yeah.
You and I have talked a lot about like things and value in life and what we think we need to do to earn love, and so many of us like
Hmm.
achieve and do more because we attach that to getting
So yeah,
love. And
love,
so even though
accepted.
my dad is an incredible entrepreneur, father, amazing influence in my life,
Hmm.
I am recently, like, just as I reflect on parenting and being a leader, of how we challenge people and give them love and achievement. He drove me to achieve, but I do think it had something to do with my pattern of wanting to achieve to earn love.
Yeah,
Anyway.
agree. But isn't it? I do think it's weird coming up on a pivotal decade birthday, looking back over my whole 30s that didn't go the way I thought that they went. It's because I think I spent half of it driving myself into the ground to burnout, thinking that if I could just get to this next level, then I would be good enough, for a mentor that I had to just accept me where I was. Like, I
Mhm.
think I was like more trying to make the criticism stop, but it's like whether we're achieving to, be accepted or loved, I think I just wanted to be who I was. I thought like if I can just get to a certain level, then I'll just be allowed to like be whoever I want to be. The way that my parents have always just held me with such an open hand, and all I wanted was that in a mentor, you know.
Mm.
But so I think I do think it's a weird double-edged sword, right? Where it's, would we be who we are today without those people, you know,
Who challenged us and pushed us.
yeah, whether it was good or bad the way that they did it, in spite of the way that they did it, you know,
Yeah.
here we still are.
Never involved it. There's your big question to ponder for the episode. It definitely was a driving force in my life and drove me to who I am. It's
Yeah.
just how do we get the good and how do we drive to that and yet not internalize that we can achieve for achievement's sake, but we don't have to be enough or to be loved.
I think, remember,
But
we
anyway.
went through that, but we went through that season where we were like, life is good. Now what? Remember? I remember,
Yeah.
were we sitting in the pool maybe? You were here in Arizona and we were sitting in the pool and it was like, okay, life is good and we're both in a place of joy. So now what? How do you achieve from joy instead of from a place of either, you know, brokenness or trying to prove, trying to be accepted, trying to, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that was the hardest part, like that of all the seasons that we got to walk through together, finding that place and figuring out how to choose to build a life that we love from a place that we love instead of, you know, chasing joy.
Instead of from a place of chasing.
Of
Yeah.
like, when we get there, then life will be joyful. And instead it's like, well, life's already joyful. So what's going to drive me now?
Yeah.
And I think
That was unique and a unique chapter.
yeah, I think that also when you're,
So started out with that, and
Yeah.
and my dad was encouraging me to achieve in high school, achieve through all the things. I sold Cutco in high school,
in
and
high school? Why did I think that
in
was
high school.
college?
Yeah, it was in high school. One of the summers in high school, and incredible. I mean, I reflect back and I talk about it now because I work with a lot of communities of door-to-door sales, and I mean, I knew, like, I loved it and it was so much fun because I made a ridiculous amount of money, like thousands of dollars every day in high school selling knives. And I loved it because it was so much fun. Like,
You
I was
enjoy
making ridiculous.
cooking. You enjoy cooking for people. You enjoy
I enjoyed
presenting.
cooking. I enjoyed selling. Like, I enjoyed winning and achieving and breaking records, and enjoyed making that much money. It a little bit distorted my my relationship with money because I was making so much money so young. But that was my first experience that completely changed my life, in that I would never again trade time for money. At 16, 17. I think it was like between 16 and 17 that I did it. Because I saw my brothers detasseling, and our job that was hard and miserable and disgusting.
Yeah.
Detasseling corn, and all of the rest of my friends in high school working for an hourly wage.
Yeah. At the local grocery
Whatever
store.
they were making back then, an hour, which was like $6 an hour, I think.
Yeah.
30 years ago. And I was like, why are you doing this? Like, I just made more than you make all month today. And it just was this incredible lesson that, like, why would you ever do that? Why would you ever trade time for money again? And I'd been raised by my dad was an entrepreneur. And so went on to, I say my first thing out of college, right out of college, while I was like figuring out.
But you also did a
what to
lot
do.
in college. You did a lot of leadership.
I did a lot of leadership, went to school for chemical engineering because I was good at math and science, but did a lot in college, and then sold cars for a tiny stint. I forget that because my son is now 23 and sells cars, and I'm like, what are you doing with your life? But
I don't remember you sold cars.
It was just a
moment.
little blurb.
But like,
It was
okay,
just a little
so
moment.
if it was a blurb in a moment, you can look back. What do you feel like that blurb in moment of selling cars was about for you?
So my first husband's family owned a hardware store, and I also worked in a hardware store, like, while I had that dance studio. And I think everyone should sell cars.
Not be here without the hardware store. Like, not really.
I think everyone should sell cars and should work in a hardware store for a year because of the life skills that you gain in learning about a car,
I worked
learning
in a
how to
hardware
buy
store.
a car. And
Yeah. Did you know that? Ace
What?
Hardware. I worked in Ace Hardware. True
With
Valley.
hardware? You did?
Yes.
I mean, you should know. You should know what electrical parts are and like how to plumb a toilet,
Yeah.
what all the electrical parts are, what hardware is, how to, not only know how to hang a shelf, but how to replumb a toilet and a sink and
Yeah.
um
Okay, so
how
college,
to
sold
how
cars,
for a tiny stint and then
worked in the
just
hardware shop. Was that while you were building the dance and gymnastics studio?
yes, because the family owned the business. But then, relatively soon, right after college, opened a dance and gymnastics studio. So that was my very first
Hmm.
real business, and
It was
it
very successful.
very sick, like a dream come true. It's not like I went to college for that, but there was a gymnastics studio for sale in my town, this huge building. It was a dream. My kids were little. I got to stay home with them during the day. They went to some incredible people at night while I was teaching dance. But I got to combine my love of dance. And I mean, I just looked back and I was like, I'm living this dream. I get to dance every day and,
You taught jazzercise? Is that
share
what
my
you?
love of dance, teach kids,
Yeah.
and be a business and design my life. Looking back, I can't imagine once I got out of it, it just was so awesome at the time. Once I got out of it, I was like, I spent this many years working nights and weekends.
Hmm.
Um,
Because you worked a
so
lot.
that
I
was
mean,
really weird.
you did work a lot at that job. Because that's where I met
Yeah.
you.
It just didn't seem, I was so immersed in it and it was just my life. I guess it didn't seem like I was working nights and weekends
Hmm.
because I just was like,
It's just what you did and when you did it.
yeah, and I loved it. And it worked with my kids. But so I did that, and that's when I kind of got into coaching and consulting. I realized that a lot of other dance studio owners didn't know how to run a business. They knew the art of dance, but not necessarily how to make their dance studios more profitable. So
And do you feel
I
like you
started
had that
doing.
innate, or where do you feel like you developed the skills of learning how to run a profitable business? I mean, your
Um,
dad was wildly successful, but
from my dad, I guess we were involved enough into like know how to read a balance sheet, a profit and I don't like numbers, so I didn't love coaching on numbers, but just like innately like understanding that you did need to look at numbers, and I needed help with choreography and finding the things of like costumes and competition
hmm.
and how to get into perform at Disney. And so it's first started like trading dance studio owners, like help me with this. And I can come in and take a look at your building and be like, how can you fit more students here? So do things to, increase your bottom line. How can you
Hmm.
increase the revenue that you're bringing, the square footage with kids, with class schedules?
Hmm.
How can you increase your opportunity costs? Things like that. It seemed really simple at the time to look at somebody else's and just be like, you just make these changes and these few changes and you can make extra money, whereas they were just only worried about the art.
You were the master. You are the master, though, of delegation and collaboration. I think one of
So
the
yeah,
first
I
lessons I learned
had
from
a
you is like, if it's not
and yeah,
fun,
helping people
like,
right away, like
yeah,
delegate the things that they didn't know how to do in
hmm,
in their business
or that
and
buying
do it
back your
the best.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, how did like at that time, I was young. I was 24 and I had basically nannies,
Hmm.
people that traveled with me and did the kids. I had an assistant at the time. I had somebody clean my house. I knew that the more time I could spend
Yeah.
um, doing my business, I just figured out I couldn't do it all. Like I couldn't do everything and do everything for my kids and do everything in my business.
Hmm.
And I guess I was blessed to figure that out soon. Like the more time I can teach, the more time I can teach dance, that's how I can make the most money.
Hmm.
And how can I spend the most time doing the things that make the most money and like pay everybody else to do everything else?
Yeah. Because I think one of the first lessons that I learned from you. So I was 24, 25 when I met you, probably 25, like around 25 when I met you. And so we're a few years apart. And so you were just enough, I would say you're always just enough ahead of me that I'm like, I should probably do what she's doing. But I remember right away learning the art of delegation and the art of convenience from you. Like we pay for convenience and we delegate things to buy back our time. I mean, that was 15 years ago. That was the very first lesson that I started learning from you. And I think why I quickly had a very successful career in direct sales was because of those two simple things. So you just kind of innately picked those up, started delegating out all the things for the dance studio, but then got to the point, then you did have a career in direct sales for a few years, which I think was that bridge, right? Like it was probably your bridge to pull you into where you are
Mm-hmm.
now. So what do you feel like for you personally, like what was that about? What was it about, where like God, the universe just brought in direct sales into you as a bridge to get you from there to where you are? It got you to move. It got you to, but what
It
do
got
you,
me to meet you.
I know. I mean, I don't know. It might have all been for me. So thanks for joining direct sales so I could meet you. Maybe it was all that. I don't know.
It is another great thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a wonderful opportunity, just like Cutco was. I learned with Cutco, however, I mean, awesome season, but it, I still have my Cutco knives 30 years later. If you sell somebody Cutco knives, they're going to have them for the rest of their lives. It is for real.
Yeah.
It's not a repeat customer. So direct sales is an incredible thing because it's a consumable product.
Right.
So it's taking that of like you're in complete control of it's something you can pick up. Such an incredible opportunity for so many people. Whatever you have going on in your life, like
Yeah.
it is your own business and your own thing, but you don't have to go start the infrastructure.
Okay, but it is a business in a box, right? As two people who have started,
Yeah.
like really truly, we have started ground up, started our own businesses. For the love of God, direct sales is the easiest business in a box that you will ever start.
It is, and
Yeah.
it's an incredible opportunity for so many people wherever you're at in your life, whatever
Yeah.
thing you've got going on,
Yeah.
whether it be that whatever you need,
Yeah.
like it's an immediate thing that you can go get some extra cash. You can go get some extra cash. I think especially for women, it gives an opportunity of independence and a network of other people that are doing it. Like you're not isolated. You not only have this whole box business in a box and kit, and you have like an immediate way to produce a cash flow. You have a network of people that are mentors that are helping you do it. So
Yeah.
it's an incredible network of people that are like aligning with you and loving on you and community and tribe and so many of the things that we believe in. You have this like instant tribe cheering you on and
Yeah.
an avenue to like, if you want it, you can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think about, I mean, when you say the mentorship, I think that people in direct sales probably don't have an understanding how blessed they are with the caliber of free mentorship that they get, that you and I have paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to have outside of direct sales.
Yeah.
So I also can see, I think that when I watch you run Unique Genius and the way that you celebrate your people, I can see where some of the things that you did in direct sales, I can see how you've pulled those over and you celebrate.
It was such an incredible chapter. And like you said, people, I mean, when you were outside of direct sales, you're like, man, I am paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for mentors and coaches and to go to things that were just all included
Yeah.
in being part of a direct sales community. Like it was an amazing chapter of my life. And I know was, like universe designed, I needed to be part of that chapter. And not only was it, a bridge that helps me move, get into a new chapter of life and independence with my kids. And quickly,
Yeah.
quickly
Yeah.
make money, and it taught me so many leadership quality. You're again then building this huge organization where you're responsible for leading literally hundreds of people.
Being on
And
stages, the achievement.
yeah, it's just speaking on stages, watching people do. I mean, it was a prequel of so many things and so many incredible mentors along the way that taught me about leadership, that taught me about speaking, that taught me about being on big stages. And yeah, like you said, you can see a lot of in our culture right now of how we work with clients and how we work with our team members of
Pulling that, pulling that from there.
pulling from success of what I learned in working with people and leadership.
So we went from direct sales, then you did a lot in networking. Like you were working with an accounting company, but you were really in network. It was really networking, right? Was that?
Yeah, then I did several things in
Yeah, like there
Omaha
was a lot
in
of
that
things in
chapter.
this itty
I
bitty
wouldn't
little
say I was
period
lost, but I did get very involved in, and
in your
still when I was
community.
in direct sales, once I was
Mm-hmm.
in Omaha, then I got part of the networking community, very involved in the chamber and in different networking groups as I kind of floated through what I was doing.
Yeah,
And kids were in high school, crazy chapter.
yeah.
Um,
But I think that's so.
not great life decisions on my part again of such a terrible partner in my life. It didn't heal, didn't learn things for myself. So,
Yeah. But it so
um,
much permission though, I think that people can gain from that season. Look, I
yeah,
think we all have a hot mess express era in our life, right?
yeah,
But you
yeah. I mean, it was, but lots was going on. Building new businesses, doing a lot of networking, like I said, and connections, which taught me a lot.
yeah.
And
But it was also all of those, like, I think there were so many tiny little connections that then brought you into the home service industry that put you in front of new people, that got you introduced to masterminds, got you introduced to the radio show, Turfs Up Radio, right? Or what is it called now? Not Turfs Up. I'm calling it the wrong thing.
boots on the ground.
Yes, there we go. So,
I'm on a different radio show. On a
yes.
different.
Got you on the new radio, got you on the radio show, then the new radio show, introduced you to all of those people. And it was in that season that, like, we hadn't, it was like we were never not talking, but it was like months and months and months and months could go by because we were both, I was moving from Dallas to Arizona and you were busy transitioning in and out of different jobs, figuring out what your next was. And then right when we really reconnected, you'd flown back. Our friend Greg, our late friend Greg, he was so responsible for getting us back connected the way that we are today. But you were here in Arizona and we hiked, went and had a lot of fun. Ate at Capitol Grill, did all the things. And then it was, I feel like you went home from that. And was that when you found the book, like refound the book of the wishes? Was it right after that
Um,
trip?
After I read Illusion,
So I
uh,
forced you came, and I basically insisted like you have
okay,
to
and
read Illusion of
I was
Money.
still stuck at that point.
Yeah,
I came, but I was still like, for the first time ever,
you like didn't know what
I
to do.
think it was my first ever W-2 job since I graduated from.
I had never known you to have a W-2 job,
No, I was, and
which is very
I
just
mean, I
not
was
you.
sitting on a board at an accounting firm. It wasn't like,
It wasn't
I
like
was,
structured, but
I
it
was,
still was. I'd
I was
never seen
doing
you. Yeah,
great thing, but I definitely was not living. And it was a chapter that I learned everything to set up the business I have. But yeah, I was
stagnant.
not myself.
Yeah, you were like
Stagnant.
stagnant.
I
I would
was
say
in a,
stagnant. You were in a kind of a stagnant era.
and I probably learned what I needed to learn at that chapter. And yeah, we reconnected.
I forced you
Um,
to read Illusion of Money by Kyle Cease.
yes.
Forced.
And you kept telling me to read it and kept telling me to read it. And I finally was like, okay. So I started reading it. I walked 3 miles in the morning and I just was like, I'm going to stop my day. I'm just going to pretend I'm sick. And I just walked the rest of the day and listened to the entire book in the day.
I remember that. Like, it was a
And
weekday.
it was a weekday. And I
It was a
think this
weekday.
is in maybe the introduction of the book. But I listened to the entire book and like stopped me in my tracks. So I canceled the whole day. Started listening at 6 a.m., finished the book in the day.
Yeah.
And I resigned the next morning from
Yeah.
um, the what I was doing.
Yeah.
And the accounting firm that I resigned, and I remember you were like, "Okay, well,
My famous last words, y'all, to her are always like, "Let's not burn the house down." What are we doing? Oh my god! Like, let's not burn the house down. Like, she's so good at throwing me off ledges, and I'm so good at being like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! What are we doing? Let's not burn the house down."
single mom. Dad was in college. Hildy was starting college that fall,
Yes, I like here.
and Hildy. I mean, the kids were like, "All right, you do a lot of crazy things. What is the business this time?
Yeah.
What is it you're going to do?" I'm like, I'm not quite sure yet.
Yeah, you had such a loose idea, and the kids and I, we were just all together at the wedding, and I got to pick up Thad, her son, and his girlfriend from the airport, and we were driving, and I said, Wow, Thad, can you believe it? Like I was telling him, hey, I'm fancy now. I finally did it. Like I finally got my own VA from your mom's virtual assistant company. I said, but can you even believe it? And we were both like, no, man. He was like, do you remember that day? We were like, Mom, what the F are you doing? And we both just thought, oh my God, what are we doing? Like, wait, I think all three of us, like me and the kids were like, what are we doing now? Wait, what? And then to see how it went from this, what in God's name is she actually doing? But there was something in you that just, I don't even know if you didn't even really know what it was, but you knew you had the tiniest concept of everything to do the very next day. And to now how you've built it into this giant community. I don't even know how many employees you guys have that work under Unique Genius, but there's a lot of them.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. It is, and I might have told you guys I had an idea, but I really had no idea. But I
Yeah.
knew with that book, like I just needed to shift. I highly recommend the book we just talked about before the episode
We're
that we
both
both
back in it
just
again.
finished again.
Yeah.
Um, it is a life change, and every time I listen to it, it shifts and moves me in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew like that I had to change my vibration, and
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do both at the same time. I couldn't walk into a new chapter of my life like holding on to anything with fear or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
I knew I would figure it out. I had no idea
Yeah.
this is what it was
But
going to be.
also in
And
that,
you laugh at the branding, the building, the whatever. Along this way, I also, you mentioned the book Five Wishes, so I got home from
yes.
reading that. This book fell off my shelf with a handwritten note in it. It's called Five Wishes by Gay Hendricks, and my handwritten note came out of it
Because you'd had
that
that book.
15 years ago I read that
Mm-hmm.
book, and it says, "What are the five things that you want to do? If you were to die today,
Mm.
what five things would you wish you would have done to feel like your life was a complete success?"
Mm.
And that's basically it. It walks you through a lot of exercises, but it's this. Anyway, I wrote down five things, and I
Yeah.
hadn't done any of them. Oh, I'd done one. One was live outside of Aurora, Nebraska, and I was living in Omaha at the time. But
Yeah.
the other things I had not done, and I had not done.
Yeah.
And I need to get that out again because now they're all true. Yay.
Had your dad
Now
passed away yet? Or was he right? Was that right when your dad was
he
passing away?
had not. I feel like he knew I was writing a book, right? He knew I was starting this company. So he hadn't, my dad hadn't passed
He
away
did
yet.
know that he did know that you were starting the company.
He did know that I was starting a company. I hadn't
Yeah.
finished the book, but he did know that I was starting
He
the
knew that you
company.
were writing it and he knew that you were starting the company. Because I
Yeah.
remember that season when your dad did pass, and I remember us talking about him being able to let go, knowing that you were going to be more than okay because you were doing what you were supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was back.
that you were back. Yeah. So you
Um,
started writing the book. You were and you did a book program. You didn't just write a book. Like you got involved in a really professional book writing program. You started developing. I want you to okay. I want you to talk a little bit about the rebrand. I want you to start about how everything was around the courageous mind, and all that you did with that, and where. Not that you would change it, right? Because everything is for a reason, but you have given me so much permission to just get started and not overthink it because any day is a good day for a rebrand. So you started writing the book, The Courageous Mind, and you started.
and I started, so I always had one of the things on that sheet, Five Wishes, was I always wanted to write a book and speak about it. And so things aligned, universe aligns. As soon as things happen like that, people show up in your life. And that's what happens. You just got to put that frequency out there and then be open, and like things will just walk through the door. And that's what happened. I got introduced to this incredible book program. I highly recommend it if you've ever thought of writing a book, because it's really writing a book. Anyone can use ChatGPT and publish a book and put it on Amazon. But this is like legit a year working with coaches, working with top notch. I mean, I was telling you, and I think we had reflections later. You're like, I don't know if I knew how amazing it was. Like Simon Sinek, Gabby Bernstein, being in
Yes.
like being on Zooms, small group Zooms, and learning from them, and
Yeah.
editors rewriting.
It was a
So
long
wrote the book.
process. It was not like a month. It was a many months.
It was a long process, but totally worth it,
Yeah.
and grew so much. But we talk about branding, and I think it was like day 2, like left the job, decided I was starting a company, and just decided that day that the name of my company and my book was going to be The Courageous Mind. I mean, just decided. Just
Yes. Which
then,
was so on brand for you though. Like that, the Courageous Mind still really is on brand for who you are as a person.
yes.
Yeah.
Um, it just was funny because then I had to fit the whole book into this thing. So I bought the website, bought the domain. I had one virtual assistant I had kind of taken with me. I hadn't started the company, but he was a website builder. He built the website for me. I made business cards. So that's the like name of this company that I didn't know was going to be virtual. I didn't know what I was going to do. The name
I
of the company.
found your business card, The Courageous Mind, in my nightstand 2 days ago. I should have brought it.
So that's the business, that's the book name. I have to fit everything in this box because I did not consider a logo, a font. I just was like, this is it, we're going. I have to have something to like rally myself around and say that it's real. And then
It was your anchor. Like the Courageous Mind was your anchor for life
Yeah.
at that moment.
it was. I had to say that I had something, and that's what it is. And I couldn't describe what the business is or what we were doing. It evolved and it became, and it is a wonderful, amazing company now. And through writing The Courageous Mind, one of the chapters is Unique Genius. And that's then what I really, you just uncover. So I believe that chapter in the book is about living fully in your unique genius. And that is, I think it's chapter 8, maybe not, but.
I know.
And I believe unique genius is your strengths, like your God-given talents and strengths, what lights you up, what fuels your fire, and aligns with your mission, vision, goals. And if it's all 3 of those, then that's living fully in your unique genius. And then it just kind of evolved into me talking more about that. I rebranded the company into Unique Genius Virtual Assistants because we help business owners and executives live in their unique genius. And that I believe you not only create more success, have more fun doing it, but really create more impact in the lives that you are called to lead if you live your life in your unique genius and figure out how to delegate the rest. And that goes first full circle into like what you first knew me for, right? Like that was my gift in living in my unique genius.
You had an
in my
assistant for
20s.
everything. When I met you, you literally had an assistant for everything. Like we would travel, the kids would come, there would be somebody taking care of the kids, there would be an assistant running all of your stuff back home for your direct sales business. There would be an assistant running the dance and gymnastics studio back home. When I met you, you were the epitome of unique genius because you only did what you were a genius at, right? You only did what you were great at, and you absolutely delegated everything else.
And I did that when I did that in my young 20s. You saw me doing it, and I'm known at every stage of my life when I live in frustration, when I am not living my best, it's because I am not doing that. And whether it be at home, that I like have to do the dishes, or anything that like I'm not living in my alignment, I'm not doing my best. And so I just had this passion for helping other people with it, and virtual assistants are our tool to be able to do that. And so for a while I tried to do both then, right? There's a company called Unique Genius Virtual Assistants, and there's the virtual assistants, but I was still stuck over here promoting my book and Courageous Mind. And I eventually am still on the path of
Merging them.
Aligning all of that into as I work on my second book and really talk about and help people get that message of how powerful it is to live in your unique genius.
So you and JC were here in August. Was it August? I think. So I'd always known since you started Unique Genius and you started having the assistants, I always knew that there would be a point where I would, take a chance enough on myself with coaching and courses and a podcast. I always knew that day would come, and that the day that I decided to do that I would obviously reach out to you and we would figure it all out and get up and going and running with having a virtual assistant. But I think it was this summer when I kept coming back to you. So one thing to know about me, Ange knows this, is that it's really hard for me to think new thoughts and you have to bring them back around over and over and over and over and over again. And then eventually my brain will reprogram itself and I will take it on. And so we were sitting at a Mexican restaurant here in my town and they were visiting, and I don't know if it was you or JC, but I think I'd said to JC maybe, like, I just don't know what I could do for 40 hours a week with a virtual assistant. Like, I don't know what I would do with somebody full time. And between you and him, y'all said, go get on Amazon right now, order the book by Dan Martell called Buy Back Your Time, read the book, and then call us, and you'll know exactly what to do. And the biggest thing, I love Dan Martell, is that I needed to hire a virtual assistant for a business I didn't even have, for tasks I didn't even know what they were going to be, because you don't really think of them until you get the person. Like, you got to take a chance on yourself. You hire that full-time VA, and somehow magically you end up showing up even greater every single day because you have this person that you're accountable to. My husband is obsessed with the fact that I have this full-time person because he's like, you always show up for your employee way better than you ever show up for yourself, so it's forcing me to do things. True. And I'm stepping out of my comfort zone in ways that I probably wouldn't have done. And it is kind of wild how you invent new things every single day that need done. But I don't know, like, if you want to, before we go, what is there, I feel like you speak all over the freaking world about this, but if you could just share with our listeners as to your heart about Unique Genius, what clients have found, why someone should partner with y'all and consider getting themselves a VA.
Yeah, so first, just to echo what you said, is that what people don't think? A lot of people have this, like, I don't know what I would do a virtual assistant. Like, I don't have 40 hours a week for them. Part of it is this, like, deserve level, I think, too, of getting past, like, I can do it. I can do it all myself. There's not enough that I have on my plate that I can handle it all. It's just this old, like, badge of honor of being Superman or Superwoman, and I can do it all. That doesn't mean that you should be doing it all. That one, like, give yourself the deserve level that this stuff that you are doing is zapping your energy. It's not just if you have enough time to do it. When you're doing things that, like, cause burnout, it just zaps your energy. And if you don't deserve it, if you're not at the place yet that you deserve it, the people that you are called to lead in your life and called to serve, your partner, your spouse, the people you lead in your organization, your friends, your family, your kids, they deserve the very best of your energy. But it's so much more than delegating the tasks that are on your plate. Like you said, you don't have the capacity. You have so much magic within you, so many thoughts within you that you can't let come out, so many ideas that your conscious or subconscious just blocks because you don't have the capacity to flesh them out.
You literally don't give yourself time to hear the whispers. Like, you can't hear the whispers of creativity because you're so busy making your own little graphic or sorting leads or setting up an Excel spreadsheet or sending out the emails or...
And if they come up, if you allowed them to bubble up, even if you had time to sit and think of them, even if you're like, oh, I meditate, I have time, you can't allow yourself, because then you'll feel like a failure because you don't have time to flesh them out. So when you have a person to flesh everything out, you're like, oh, I can do that.
Yeah.
I can go flesh this idea out. I can go do this. I can do it. You can just operate at this whole nother level. And like you said, you will come up with stuff for them to do.
Yeah.
Because now you have somebody to do all this stuff and think of ideas and do all this great stuff.
More new stuff keeps coming. It's like you increase your capacity the moment that you hire a virtual assistant. Yes. Because honestly, guys, I don't even know, I'm not lying. Like, I don't even know where my podcast is housed. I don't know. I don't know any details about anything at all. Like, if there is a detail that she doesn't know, she asks me a question and then she executes it somewhere, but I don't know where it's housed. Like, I just show up on this platform and I hit record, and then she takes it and she makes beautiful magic and makes sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. And that alone was so permission giving that I didn't have to figure it out or know. Because for me personally, I don't find joy in the deep technical research of how to do something. And I can look back
Yeah.
that there's so many things that I held myself back on doing because I didn't have, honestly, the patience. I don't have the patience for deep technical research. If I can't find something in 15 seconds, I'm pretty much always frustrated. And I think people can say, well, you need to work on that. I don't think so. I think I just need to delegate that. If I can't find something in my house within 15 seconds, there's a rule. I call Kobe and he can find it. If I can't figure something out within 15 seconds and it's technical or whatever, I mean, it is 11:30 last night and I cannot figure out why suddenly my phone has started syncing all my photos with Google Photos, and then it tapped out my email and I was really frustrated, and then I was like, you don't have to figure this out anymore. You can just add this to the task for Caroline tomorrow and she can help you figure this out. You no longer have to figure out tiny little per hour details that someone else is a million times better at figuring out than you. It's been
Absolutely.
so freeing. It's been so freeing.
Oh,
I know. And I, I hired her before a business ever existed or a podcast ever existed. I hired her to grow an idea. Really.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the magic in it. So
There's
I
that.
love hearing those success stories of, our clients and what it feels like
Yeah.
in their life. And so we are more than just giving you a virtual assistant. We're here to help our clients figure out how to work in their unique genius and then support your virtual assistants in working with you so
Yeah.
that relationship can be magic.
Because that's one, I think, thing that's my favorite thing is if I don't know how to do it and she doesn't know how to do it, it doesn't actually matter because she's connected to the unique genius family. And that family is connected to so many assistants that they all know tons of things. Like if we, whatever platform or technology thing that we're trying to figure out. So it's, you get to belong. I love that as an entrepreneur, sometimes it can feel very lonely. And that when you're a part of Unique Genius, you are a part of a giant entrepreneurial family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we have a big tribe for our clients and a tribe for our, a mastermind that all of our virtual assistants, executive partners are in so that they can be at their very best and bring back the very best to their clients.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, Ange will be back a million times more as our life continues to weave in and out through every different era that we're entering into. I don't know. Can you hear Chloe losing her mind?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Is Chloe losing her mind over there?
Chloe's losing her mind. I know. She's just being a diva. She's being a diva. And I'm like, anybody hear Chloe losing her mind? At some point, everyone will definitely get to hear Chloe losing her mind. She is the most over-the-top, extra diva, 8-pound, 15-year-old poodle mix that you've ever met in your entire life. I know someday she'll be gone and we'll be sad and we'll miss her diva moments, I'm sure. But all right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us again today for my birthday Eve episode. I know, it goes so fast. I just encourage all of you, if you're even thinking about it, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, Unique Genius can absolutely help you and just unlock that next level, whether you're looking for somebody to help with phone calls or customer service or website development, email marketing, social media management. I mean, the sky is the limit. If there's something inside of you that's going, maybe I need a VA and I don't even know what I need them for, please don't hesitate. We'll put all the info down below in the show notes that you can reach out to them, or you can follow their socials, look on their website, look what it's like to belong to a part of the Unique Genius family. So thank you, Ange, for joining me today on the podcast that wouldn't exist without you, but also just...
I'm so proud of you. So proud of you for what you're doing and putting out in the world and all the lives that will impact.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us today on the episode of All Things Excellence.